We have a merger in your world right now of AT&T, Time Warner, and the Department of Justice telling them what to do. You have decades of experience in the Willards, smoking cigars and lobbying. How does CNN battle? How does Time Warner battle? How does AT&T battle DOJ on this issue?
Well, Tom, I should probably go on the record in case my wife is watching that I quit smoking cigars years ago, let alone hanging out in smoke-filled rooms. But you know, the issue that the Department of Justice is going to have to deal with is the interpretation of the Sherman Act. And the Sherman Act is pretty explicit, and they establish standards, and the Department of Justice has to defend them in court. And it will be very interesting to see just what the court does decide, because it sure sounds as though AT&T is signaling that this is something we're not going to deal. We'll see in court.
The Sherman Act, in its various shades, goes back to 1890. Why are we applying in our media world legislation of 1890 or 1950 to the modern day media world? Why are we doing that?
Well, I mean, the answer to your why is because it's the law and it is the standard that has been established. The interesting thing is, and one of the things that I lived with at the FCC, is that the laws are interpreted over time. And actually, the Sherman Act, if you go back to 1970 or so, and the beginning of the Reagan era, the Sherman Act started to have a whole different interpretation by the courts. And so it'll be interesting to see whether or not we go towards Brandeis, Justice Brandeis, who was a pretty strong enforcer of the idea there needed to be marketplace competition, or we head towards Bork, which is where things have been going since the 70s, which is, okay, well, what's the impact on consumers? Does it mean lower prices? And I think as the media evolves, we need to also continue to evolve the interpretation of the Sherman Act.